Hello, you beautiful souls. Before we begin, just breathe with me, okay? In and out. And welcome back to an alchemical transmission. If you are new here, my name is Priyamani, and this video is part of the series that I call an alchemical transmission. Okay, I started this series because I kept noticing something that there are experiences that we have on our inner journey that quite doesn't fit into teachings, right? And they don't fit into any kind of therapy language. And they definitely don't fit into pop culture bypass spirituality. So these videos aren't theories, they are lived moments, the kind you only understand when you are inside of them. And I'm not here to convince you of anything as well. I'm here to name what usually goes unnamed. So if you have experienced something similar, then you don't think that you are imagining or, things are not working out for you. So if you're wondering why you should listen to me, it's because I don't have the answers. Um, it's because I am willing to speak from inside of that experience and not above it. And before we begin, if you're watching this quietly and if you have watched the previous two episodes, then I genuinely love to know what made you stay, because you're among that 5-6% who'd stay for a short video like a 10 or a 15-minute one. So you can comment a word or a question or even just say if it resonated, that this resonated. Um, I would like more of us to discover these conversations, because they might help someone understand that some things about themselves, or even realize that they aren't imagining what is happening to them, or feel a little less isolated in their own experience. So join me on this journey. I would love to have you. And with that, over the last 2 weeks, we have touched the human heart in Yeshua and Mary Magdalene, also peeled into the layers of the mind. And today, we're going to talk about something that is so simple, yet something that is so confusing. What is the real difference between emotions and feelings? That is what we're going to talk about today. And I have sat with this in my own field for many, many, many years. And those were, the raw surges that hit me like lightning versus the story that I used to weave around them. So, what I share today is the result of direct experiential understanding backed with some part of neuroscience. So, sit back and let us begin. So, sit back and take this in. Yeah, let's begin this transmission now. Now, emotions, they are raw, automatic energy waves within the body, and they are biological. A surge from your nervous system. It's like your heart racing, your stomach tightening, heat raising. These are the feelings. Now, the universal survival tools are usually to run away because you feel the fear, or it could be the anger to protect something, or it could be a joy to, bind or bond with somebody. Now, these happen really fast. What I mean to say is so fast that it is unconscious, like a storm hitting, right? According to neuroscientists, emotions are the body's bioregulatory reactions. So, changes in physiology, your breath, your hormones. So, you don't choose them, they just choose you in that moment. Now, moving on to feelings. Um, think of it as that's the mind's interpretation of these waves that is hitting you. Okay, these are conscious. You have labeled the surge. For example, I'm angry because something happened, or I'm sad because something happened or did not happen. Feelings are personal stories shaped by our experiences, our culture, our belief. Okay, so some body surges like tight chest and tears for one person could feel like grief. However, for the other person, it can feel like relief. For another person, it can feel like rage. So, some researches shows feelings are constructed by your brain using the concepts that you have learned. And emotions are the fire. Feelings are the shape you give it. With me so far? Think of it like this. Emotion is pure energy in motion. Motion. Yeah. Now, feeling is what you feel when there is some kind of understanding that touches it. So, in my journey, I have felt raw fear hit me when I get triggered or when I used to get triggered, right? My body used to shake, but there was no story yet. Okay, so the first is the body. My body used to shake or get very sweaty. I could feel the trembling in my lips and my hands. And this is like a surge. This is like a volcanic eruption. Your eyes go red, your face is all flushed, and all of those things. This happens, and then the mind kicks in. It says that, oh, this is a trauma, resurfacing. And then there is a whole lot of crazy ass thing going on, which I have completely no control over. Um, and this doesn't just happen in the most worst of the situation. This can happen in the most beautiful situations as well. For example, initially when I would sit down to meditate and I would go on these beautiful journeys, I would feel like pure bliss surging. Okay. Now the emotion is nameless. Like you can't say, oh, I'm very happy or I'm feeling this way or that way. You really don't know because when you do it for the very first time, you haven't given it any name, right? So it is just pure energy in motion. And then you label it as, oh, divine connection, or this is the way that my higher self feels, and blah blah and all of those things. But the most confusing is we say when we give a meaning, a word to what we are really feeling. For example, nowadays, when somebody asks me, how are you? I really don't have an answer to give. Not because I'm not feeling good, not because something is not working, not because anything. I just don't have the words because there are 10,000 things that's happening in parallel. Like I'm somewhere else in my dream state, I'm somewhere else in my awakening state. My mind is in this meditative mode. I want pure silence, but there are also so many other things that I need to attend to. And sometimes I feel great, sometimes not so great. And when somebody asks me, how are you? I don't feel like giving the answer. I'm fine. So I just completely skip that question. So the next time you ask me, how are you? And I don't give you an answer, just know I'm not ignoring you. It's just because I don't know how to answer that question. Okay, with that, I'm going to take you into the alchemical process of this, okay? Um, Now in the alchemical terms, very much tantric in nature. Emotions are Shakti, the raw force, life force, right? So don't judge if you feel whatever you feel, as good or bad. Because what you're feeling is actually a messenger. If you feel the surge fully in your body without attaching it to a story, and you can stay with that for a little longer, then the clarity kicks in. That is where the alchemy happens, where emotions burn through, leaving simply pure awareness. And you really don't have to put it in words. I have lived this, when anger crashes, the body feels very hot, you clench your fists and everything. The old me, I would feel, okay, yeah, I feel betrayed, or I'm angry because this person behaved like this, or I was disrespected, whatever. And the story spirals because the story is coming from your lived experiences. What do I do now? I feel. Of course, I'm a human being. I am going to feel, and you have to feel. Okay, if somebody is telling you, "Oh, ignore that feeling," you're about that feeling. Please run away from there. All right. Now, when I go through something like that, it can be good, bad, ugly, whichever, I just pause. And I say this to all the people that I work with. The real magic happens then. That pause, that is where it happens. So I pause and I'm just sitting. Okay, I'm feeling all these things. I'm just letting my body feel all these things. I'm not going to add a story to it. I don't want to add a name to it. None of those things. The more I sit into so when I say the more I sit into it might sound like, oh, half an hour, 30 minutes, 40 minutes an hour. No, the more and more and more you start practicing this, that duration reduces. So the more I sit into it, the energy that is moving, the alchemical process happens because you're in this pause. So that anger, it gets transmuted to power. Power, it can also get transmuted to boundaries without having to blame another person. So the alchemy happens in the pause. In the pause is where, instead of reaction, you respond. Let that sink in. Now, it can happen in the space of sadness as well. So when you experience sadness, let the tears flow. Like, it's okay. Let people think whatever they think. As long as you can let yourself be, that's amazing enough. So let the tears flow, let the emotions release, because when you cry, when you feel sad, or when you're feeling something which is wanting to make you cry, you're releasing some of those ancestral or past life density without even realizing that that's what you're doing, right? So that is when the tears flow, when you let that energy flow, is when you start feeling the shift. And this is how you go from a place of I am broken, I'm worthless, I'm useless, to I'm softening, I'm opening. And that is freedom, my friends. Because most of us, when we feel any of these things, we outsource our emotions to distractions. We outsource our emotions to, drama. And the real path is when you witness emotion as energy and question the feeling's story. And that is a practice of sovereignty. When I use this word, I get a lot of questions as to what it means. Here is what it means: it's a state of taking full responsibility of your own life, energy, choices, by trusting in your innermost divine self rather than an external validation. And it represents the authentic individual and the freedom that you have, which is not defined by conformity or mm, any of these things. And what happens when you can become sovereign is that you have mastery over your thoughts, over your emotions, and over your personal destiny, because you are not following the crowd. You are taking that pause, right? So the next time the wave hits in, pause and ask yourself, where where is the body sensation? Like, where in this body am I feeling the sensation? Because that is pure energy. And then what's the mind saying? What is the story that it's attaching to this? Breathe into that sensation and watch how the entire story will soften for you. Practice this. It's not going to come in one go. Okay, so practice this as you get into the state of pause where there is no distortions from unprocessed, charges. That is a real difference between emotion, which is body's wise fire, and feeling, which is mind's map. Burn clear and navigate through. If this lands, share below a, a time where emotion hit you and before you just labeled it. I'll try and answer your questions if you have any. And with that, we come to the end of episode 3. I will look forward to seeing you in the next one. Take care.